This lesson will look at numerical expressions that involve operations and inclusion symbols. We will usually refer to inclusion symbols as grouping symbols. Probably the most common grouping symbols are parentheses. Here's a numerical expression from the previous lesson. It has addition and multiplication, but of course we know that multiplication goes first, so 3 times 5 is 15, and then we add 2 to get 17. If we wanted to do the addition first, we'd add grouping symbols, because the rules state that you simplify the expressions within the grouping symbols before you do the 4 operations: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So in this case, we do the addition first to get 5, and then 5 times 5 is 25. Here's an example. It also has multiplication and addition, and without grouping symbols, once again, the multiplication goes first, and then we add 2 and we get 17. But if we wanted to do this addition first, we'd group it. 5 plus 2 is 7. 3 times 7 is 21. Here's addition and subtraction. Normally, we'd go left to right as shown. But if we wanted to do the subtraction first, we'd put grouping symbols around it. 3 minus 2 is 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. Here's multiplication and division. Normally, we'd go left to right as shown. But if we wanted to do the division first, we'd put grouping symbols around it. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, or 1.5, and 6 times 1.5 is 9. Here's a longer expression. Normally, we'd start with the multiplications and divisions from left to right, followed by the additions and subtractions, as shown here. If we wanted to do the addition or subtraction first, we'd put grouping symbols around it. So in this example, we've grouped the 4 minus 3, and we get 1. And then we do the multiplications and divisions from left to right as shown, followed by the addition, and we get 24. What if we wanted to do both the addition and subtraction first? Then we would go left to right, so the first thing we would do would be 8 plus 2 to get 10. The second thing, 4 take away 3 to get 1. They're so far apart in the expression that we can show the work on the same line. And then we do the multiplication and division from left to right to get 80 divided by 1, or 80. Here's something called nested parentheses, when one group is totally inside another. When nested parentheses are involved, often another way to show the grouping symbols will be used. Here's squared off brackets. Here's squiggly braces. These aren't used very often. Sometimes the outermost brackets will be made larger than the innermost brackets. But quite often they'll use the same size parenthesis for both, and it's our job to match up the innermost left parenthesis with the innermost right parenthesis and work the innermost group first. In this case, it's 2 plus 8 to make 10. Then there's only one group left. The multiplication goes first to make 30, followed by the subtraction to make 4. Now we're done with the groups. The division and the multiplication go left to right. And finally, we have 3 times 7 to make 21, and we add it to 8 to make 29. Another important grouping symbol is the horizontal fraction bar. That's what I called it for years, and then I found out it had a special name, vinculum. Well, vinculums have two purposes. They're both grouping symbols and fraction bars mean division. So you simplify the expression in the numerator, in this case 6 plus 42. Then you simplify the expression in the denominator, 7 plus 9, because the grouping goes first, and we get 48 over 16. And finally, then we do 48 divided by 16 to get 3. If you found a need to type this entire expression into a calculator, you might find that calculators and calculator apps don't have horizontal fraction bars, so you would need a workaround. Use parentheses to group your numerator, then hit your division key, then use parentheses to group your denominator as shown in the bottom line, then type all that in and press enter, and you should get the correct answer to simplify this expression. In summary, simplify expressions with grouping symbols by simplifying the expressions within the grouping symbols first. In a situation with nested parentheses, simplify the innermost group first. Then simplify multiplications and divisions from left to right. And finally, simplify additions and subtractions from left to right.